That is a European winter cap that the colonialists were using. And it is true. No, this is a fact.
Let him land.
It is the truth. No, it is the truth.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist, the channel where we break down the stories that have everyone talking. Alright, let's get straight into it. What if I told you that one of the most iconic and recognizable traditional attire in Nigeria, proudly worn by the Igbo people and our brother and sister in the Niger Delta, might not be originally Nigerian at all? I know, it sounds crazy, right? However, this is a bombshell that former presidential aide Reno Omokri dropped on a recent episode of the Honest Bunch podcast. It has set the Nigerian internet completely ablaze. This isn't just about fashion, guys. This is a serious conversation that touches on cultural identity, our history, and the long-standing impact of colonialism. When someone challenges the authenticity of what we hold dear as our heritage, it's bound to cause a massive debate. Okay, a lot to unpack there. For those of you, especially from the southeast, where I'm from, and Niger Delta, I can imagine that was fighting talk. Let's break down exactly what Reno Omokri claimed, point by point, so we are all on the same page. Number one, he pointed at the red and black striped cap, the Okpu Agu, and said it's not of Igbo origin, but it's a European winter cap from the Colonialists. Number two, he looked at the shirt, the Etibo, and claimed it's a sailor's uniform. He even gave an origin story for the name, saying it comes from a mispronunciation of 8 bowls, an old currency. And 3, he said the rapper known as George is not Nigerian either, but comes from Holland and India and was popularized during the coronation of Britain's King George. Basically, he argued that the entire outfit has foreign roots. The big question is there any truth to these very bold claims? We did the research and what we found will surprise you. So here's the context. On the podcast, Reno Omokri was asked why he almost exclusively wears Yoruba Asoeke. After defending his choice, he turned his attention to one of the podcast guests, Ezuku Chukwudi, popularly known as husband material, who was dressed in a completely Igbo Niger Delta traditional outfit. And that's when things got intense. We are about to play you the exact clip that started this whole firestorm. Listen very carefully to his claim. So just take a watch.
Let him take me to court. Nothing he is wearing is of Nigerian origin. Nothing. That is not of Nigerian origin. That is a European winter cap that the colonialists were using. And it is true. No, this is a fact. It is the truth. No, it is the truth. That is a winter cap. It is not of Igbo origin. It's a winter cap. This thing that he's wearing, the reason why they call it Etibo, even my people Shekiri, they wear it. I don't wear it because it is actually a sailor's uniform. The reason why they call it Etibo is because it was sold for 8 bows. 8 bows is an old currency, so they could not pronounce 8 bows. That's why they call it Etibo. Etibo. It's not of Nigerian origin. These stores are not of Nigerian origin. And this rapper, they call them George. The reason why they call them George is because during the coronation of King George, the colonial government gave Nigerian women George, and that's why they started to wear it. It comes from Holland. And then the cheaper one comes from India. But they just make you think that it's Nigeria. It's not made in Nigeria. Asoeke has been made in Nigeria for...
Let us start with the head. That is the Okpu Agu. Omokri says it's a colonial winter cap. Now, cultural organizations like Okpu Aide, which promotes Igbo culture, describe the Okpu Agu as a hat traditionally worn by Igbo warriors, especially from the legendary Aro Confederacy. This connects it directly to Igbo history. However, here is where it gets complicated. The design of the Okpu Agu is undeniably similar to a Western bunny or a baby hat. Historical record shows that a version of the bunny called the Monmouth cap existed in Wales as far back as the 12th century. The Aro Confederacy rose to prominence in the 18th and 19th centuries, a period of peak contact with Europeans. So, timeline makes it very plausible that the design was introduced or inspired by colonial contact, even if the Igbo warriors later adopted it and gave it a powerful new meaning as the leopard's hat. That is the Okpu Agu. So let's look at the verdict on the origin of the design. Omokri's claim is surprisingly credible. There's no evidence of this style of hat in the region before colonialism. So we'll score this a 90% for historical accuracy. Next up, the Etibo shirt. Omokri called it sailor's uniform. Again, let's be honest, you can see the resemblance. The cut, the collarless style, and especially the studs are very similar to colonial era naval attire, just like with the cap. There's little to no evidence of this specific shirt style existing in the Niger Delta before colonial contact. And what about the name? He said it came from 8 bowls. A bowl was indeed a unit of currency back in the day. The idea that local might have mispronounced the English price 8 bowls as Etibo is a fascinating piece of linguistic history. It shows how our language and cultural interactions are blended. Verdict: the visual evidence and the lack of pre-colonial examples supports this claim. The shirt was likely an adoption of a foreign style that became a staple in the Niger Delta. So we'll score this 170% credible. Finally, the George wrapper. This claim is actually the most well documented of them all. The fabric we call George is historically known as Madras cloth. It was famously produced in Madras, Patna, which is now Chennai in India. In the 17th century, the British East India Company began exporting these clothes globally. The Dutch also imported their old version. It became a huge trade item. The name George likely became popular in Nigeria because, as Omokri said, the British colonial government distributed this fabric as part of celebration, like the coronation of King George. It became a status symbol and was woven into a cultural fabric of the region. So verdict: this is a historical fact. The George wrapper has undeniably foreign origin, originating from India and was introduced to us through European trade. We score this 80% credible. Okay, so the historical breakdown seems to lean in Omokri's favor on many points, but here is the most important question. Does a foreign origin makes an attire any less Nigeria today? And the answer is a resounding no. Culture is not static. It's dynamic. It breathes. It borrows. It adapts. And it evolves. The Okpu Agu is no longer just a winter cap. It has become a symbol of Igbo bravery and identity. The Etibo is not just a sailor's uniform. It's a statement of elegance and pride in the Niger Delta. And the George wrapper has been integrated into our ceremonies for generations. These items have been indigenized. They were taken, remade, and given a new powerful and authentic Nigerian meaning by our people. The origin story is just one part of a much bigger, richer cultural journey. While Reno Omokri's historical points may be largely accurate, the controversy comes from the implication that this makes the attire not Nigerian, which completely misses the point of how culture works. But that's just my take. I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this? Does the origin of an attire diminish its cultural significance for you today? Drop your comments below, especially if you are from the Igbo or Niger Delta region. Let's have a respectful and enlightening conversation. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe to Obas Trending Gist for more deep dive into the topic that matters. Until next time, stay informed and keep the conversation going.